other way.
You clip it on. That clip it, you got your clip it. Nope. I'll move the plate. Huh? I said, I'll be here. Okay, all right. Yes, sir.
Hello? Can you hear me? Yes?
All right.
Revolutionary love to you all. My name is Baba Dr. Brother Samori Camara. I am the founder, director, master learner at Kamali Academy, right? As the brother said, I learned under him, so if my mannerisms are similar, you know where I got it from, right? So we've had Kamali Academy since 2009. I actually finished my coursework here at UT in 2009. And instead of going to New Orleans to do my dissertation and do my writing and my research, guess what I did? Started a school, right? And so we started school in 2009. This is 2023 in Atlanta. We now have a virtual school. We have hundreds of students from all over, really the world, who come to Kamali Academy, right? And we have meetups each year, right? So we met up in Virgin Islands in 2022. So we decided to go to Atlanta in 2023. It's a virtual school now, and these are all the people who came to check us out. It's a beautiful thing. I'm in the back there, you can't even see me. But these are just some of the families and some of the students that attend Kamali Academy virtual at this moment. But we've helped over thousands of students get to college, thousands of students build businesses as well over these, 15, 16 years that we've been doing the work with Kamali Academy. All right? So, but before I begin with this particular presentation, 5 reasons we should have more African-centered schools. Do you think black people should have African-centered schools?
Yes.
Yes? Is this a Eurocentric school? No? Yes? Maybe? So, but before I even get into that piece, I'd like to tell you how I came about the idea to start a school. So, when I took this brother's class at LSU as a grad student, this dude had me feeling like I could be a revolutionary, right? And so, because I felt like I was a revolutionary, I said, you know what? I'm going to change the system from within to start. So I decided to run for school board. I was a 25-year-old grad student. I ran for school board in East Baton Rouge Parish, Louisiana, right? And I knew I wasn't going to win. I had just changed my name from a European name to Samori Camara. I was independent. I wasn't Democrat or Republican. I knew I wasn't going to win. I just wanted to talk black stuff to white folks. That's what I wanted to do, right? So as I did my campaign, I would go around in East Baton Rouge Parish and I would talk to different families. And I was walking in a particular community and I saw an old black woman on her porch smoking a cigarette and drinking a Coca-Cola, right? I said, excuse me, miss, can I come and talk to you about my school board run? She said, come on, baby, come on up, right? And so I go up there and we talk about 2 hours. I'm telling her about the standardized testing, the police brutality within the schools, the Eurocentric curriculum, all these different things I was telling her about. So but after that 2 hours, she said, baby, everything you're telling me is good. Everything you're telling me is right. I like it. You got good words. I'm not going to vote for you because I don't vote. But until you have your own school, I got to send my baby to the white folks in the morning. Until you have your own school, I got to send my baby to the white folks in the morning. So I said, okay, we need our own schools. Our people just don't have a place to send their children. They want something different. We have to create something different. I knew that's what I wanted to do, but of course I was still in grad school. I was still rocking with this guy. So I went back into the school system as a teacher, as an English teacher, right? I'm teaching 10th grade English. I come in January because you can't be a teacher when you are running for school board. I come in January and I say, please take out your textbook. It's 99% black students. Take out your textbook, okay? I said, tell me how many black authors you have in this English textbook. How many you think they had? One, they had an excerpt from I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. So I said, take that textbook, bring it home, don't bring it back until the end of the school year. We will not be using this. And some of the students were like, hold on, bro. I know you're trying to be cool and all, but we need this textbook because we got to pass the test in April. Right? But I said, don't bring it back. We're not using it. Instead, we read the autobiography of Malcolm X. Instead, we read Lorraine Hansberry's what's the play she wrote? A Raisin in the Sun. Right? We read that. We read poetry by Tupac and Sonia Sanchez and Nikki Giovanni. We did that during the semester. Right? The students took their test, the graduate exit examination, later in that semester. Right? And they felt like they did well. They said, they didn't have many black people on the test, but thank you for helping me with my English portion. I think I did pretty good. 2 weeks after they took the test, before they even got their grades back, their scores back for that test, they came over their announcement and they said, hey, greetings class. We're going to have another 2 days of testing. This time, it's going to be an experimental test to see which questions will be good for next year. Right? I said, hold on now. These people are trying to use you as a lab rat or guinea pig. What are you going to do about that? Right? So the students, y'all want to be rebels anyway, right? It was like, man, I'm not going to take that test. I'm going to mark anything on the test. I'm not even going to come to school on that day, right? I said, no. Come to school. Let them put the test in front of you, but then you tell them that you're not going to take this test because this test doesn't mean anything, right? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And so the test comes, right? And 95% of the students did not take that test. Right? The word had got around around school pretty quickly. Right? And so when they came back after the testing, they said, Boss Samori, only 3 people took the test in my class. Only one person took the test in my class, Boss Samori. Guess what? Nobody took the test in my class, and tomorrow we're gonna keep on doing it. Right? That's a beautiful thing, right? Over the announcement. Greetings, faculty and staff. We will have a meeting, mandatory meeting in the library after school. Everybody better be there. Right? So we go to the meeting after school, and the people are saying, hey, we hear that there's a teacher telling the students not to take this test. We need them to take this test because we need this money. Wow, okay. So me, being who I am, right, I'm in the library at this meeting, and I said, listen, if we're going to talk about this, let's talk about it directly. Let's talk about why you're using our children like this, over-testing them, and it's just not right, it's not cool. They said I jumped on the table, they said I was cursing everybody out. I don't remember that part. So they put me on paid administrative leave for the rest of the year. But I came back to the school the next day, right? And I was like, you know what? They didn't say I was fired, right? And so I went back there, and the brother was the principal. He met me outside. He said, excuse me, brother, you can't come in, right? So I said, well, let me just get my things out of the classroom, right? Let me clean my classroom out. So I went into the school. All the students were around, like, oh, Samori, what's going on? They let you go, they fired you? I'm like, man, yeah, they fired me, but keep on going. I wrote on the board, I said, fight the power and stand up, right? Fight the power and stand up. And the students continued their boycott the next day. I remember I called him after I left that morning, because it was early in the morning, we went to school, the people said, no, you can't come back here anymore. I called you, I don't know if you remember this, but I said, I was crying. I said, we gotta stop sending our children to these people. They will never educate them the right way. You remember that? Right? And the next week, we came back with a number of friends of mine, and we held a protest outside of the school. They locked the school down like I was a terrorist or something. The news was out there and everything. But to go to that boycott, that protest, guess what I had to do? Skip his class. Right? And so when I got to class that next time, he was like, listen, brother, I know you don't know like activism and all that kind of stuff, but you can't be skipping my class to go do that. I said, man, we're gonna be reading books about the stuff that I'm doing right now. Right? We're reading books about the civil rights movement, the Black Power movement, what those people were doing in the civil rights and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna be reading books about what I'm doing right now. And sure enough, if you go and do your little research, you will see there's numbers of dissertations that talk about commodities. There's one dissertation that's all about this particular school. So you can read about the work that I was doing. So thank you, bro. All right. So now we move on. 5 reasons we need more African-centered schools. 5 reasons. Number one, we need it because the African-centered school will give our children an empowering curriculum, an African-centered curriculum, a curriculum that is not an alternative but a necessity for African children, necessity for them, right? Is Chinese education Chinese-centered? Is German education German-centered? Then African children should have an education that is African-centered, right? It places us at the center, right? It counters all the deflating narratives that we have heard over and over and over in the school system, right? What if you went to a school, think about this, what if you went to a school and they never talked about your culture? And when they did talk about your culture, it was always negative. How would you feel about that? Would you be excited to go to school?
No.
Y'all just go to school for lunch anyway, right? And recess, right? And friends. But the African-centered curriculum starts with the question, what kind of Africans do we need to solve the kind of problems we have? I said, what kind of Africans do we need to solve the kind of problems we have? So if we have a problem with self-esteem, we need a class on that.
Yeah.
Right? If any questions or any problems we have in our community, we need to have a class on it. An African-centered curriculum will do that for our children. And that African-centered curriculum, if you're not being taught to solve your own problems, young brother, then you're being miseducated. Whose problems are you being taught to solve in these schools? At this moment right now, we just walked through the business school, right? Whose problems are they being taught to solve? As an African person, if you're not being taught to solve your problems, something is wrong. Then African-centered curriculum will give us the re-Africanization that we need, that rediscovery, that redefinition, that revitalization of our African. I'm sorry, not history, our story. Not his story, our story. Our ancestral traditions as well as our customs. And you see over here, this is the Sankofa bird. Right? You see the Sankofa bird here? It comes from Ghana. Does anybody know what Sankofa means? Sankofa? Have y'all seen that bird before? Anybody seen that bird before? Damn, nobody's seen a bird before? Anybody know what a deeper symbol is? That's deep. Sankofa means to go back and fetch it. To go back and fetch it. It is not wrong for us to go back to our past, to understand the things that we did well, to understand the things that we did not do so well, right? Bring the good things forward so we can be better in the future for our people, right? So in African education is about re-Africanization. We're gonna study our story. Everything is gonna be about our story. The science is gonna be about our story. Can science be African-centered? What did the African people call the planets and the constellations? Have you heard of the Dogon people? Have you heard of the star Sirius B? They can see this star in their day, in ancient times, with their bare eyes, and people here today can't see it with a telescope. Right? Well, they can see it now with a telescope. Right? We're going to read our classics as well. Right? So out with Shakespeare. In was Zora Neale Hurston. Right? Out with talking about Napoleon. We talk about Shaka Zulu. You know what Shaka Zulu was? All right? We're going to be talking about our classics. We're not going to be celebrating other people's holidays. We're not going to be celebrating Columbus. But we're celebrating Nat Turner with the birder. You know what Nat Turner did? Nat Turner with the bird, right? In 1831. We're going to be celebrating those things here. We're going to wear our hairstyles. We're going to speak our languages. Anybody from South Africa here? I'm learning Zulu right now. It's Zulu. Right? And when you greet a person in Zulu, you say Sawubona. Can y'all say it? Sawubona.
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 Sawubona, it literally means we see you. We see you. So when you learn an African language, you also learn African philosophy and worldview. It says, we see you. Who's the we that's looking at you?
Yeah.
Who's the we? Your culture? The people, the community? You got millions of ancestors that's rocking with you right now at your back. We all see you. We see your essence. We see your goodness. Sawubona, we see you. So we teach our children African languages. Kiswahili, Tree from Ghana, as well as isiZulu. In Africans in education, you're also going to have rites of passage. You're also going to have rites of passage. Rites of passage is an ancient African custom. This is not even just an ancient African custom. It's a custom that comes from all over the world, right? Where you teach boys how to be men, or what it means to be a man in your particular society. We teach girls how to be women, or what it means to be a woman in your particular society. It teaches you how to be a good wife. It teaches you how to be a good husband. Because the reality is, most of our problems, a lot of our problems, I was call you Baba Dr. Leonard Moore right now. Baba Leonard. A lot of our problems come from our relationships, yes?
Yes.
We pick the wrong people, yes?
Yes. They know it. They know it.
You know, I just saw a TikTok or a video where it was asking sisters, what do you think a man wants? What do you think a black man wants? A natural woman or a BBL? Right? All the women said, all the women said that they think the man would want a BBL, and all the men said they want a natural woman. We're confused, right? I don't know. What you like, brother? Okay, all right. It's natural, right? But so you would, in these rites and passage pieces, you would take the young brothers or the young sisters away from the community, right? And you would teach them these things, right? And in some communities, the young brothers had to wrestle a lion with his bare hands, right? You say, that's probably cruel. We can't do that today. No, we probably wouldn't do that today. But why would they have to do something like that? Because they have to be able to look fear in the face and keep going. They have to look pain in the face and keep going. How many black men, we're talking about black people right now, how many black people see fear, right, and run the other way? Yeah. You know, there's a chance of pain, so we run the other way. We need black men who will stay when it gets hard, right? Who will do what they have to do for their community when it gets hard, okay? Now, African-centered education will also help us overcome the distortion and amnesia. You ever saw a person with amnesia? Right? They don't know their names. Think about this. When did African people get these European names that we have? Excuse me, if I called up a guy, if I said, Jesus Sanchez, come up to the stage, that would be what kind of person?
A black person.
Latino, right? So if I said, Fong Tran, come up to the stage, what kind of person is that? You say Haitian? Haitian. If I said John Smith, come to the stage, who's that? You sure? It can be black also, right? We got the same names as our former slave masters. Are you still a slave? I know that's deep though, because we have, but your name is Moore.
British name.
But the Moorish people. But if you don't know who you are whoever somebody tells you, right? And as African people, we have an identity crisis. True. This little brother here, I always told my friends, I said, I'm gonna name my first son Lumumba. Lumumba, that's a strong African name right there, right? His mom was like, we're not gonna name his first name, we're not gonna be Lumumba. But his middle name will be Lumumba. So we got Keita Lumumba Samori Camara sitting right there, 15 months old. We have my daughter, Maliwe, Mali Sukari Camara, right? Strong African names. Right? You're gonna know who you are. Right? And her name means she will be a world leader. You hear me? But when we go to these schools, they distort the history, they give us amnesia, and they manipulate things. Right? And so, Dr. Amos Wilson, if you haven't read Dr. Amos Wilson, read Dr. Amos Wilson. In his book, Falsification of African Consciousness, he says that to manipulate consciousness is to manipulate history, it's to manipulate consciousness, and to manipulate consciousness is to manipulate possibilities, and to manipulate possibilities is to manipulate power. If you have the wrong idea about yourself, if you have the wrong idea or the wrong consciousness about your people, what kind of possibilities do you think your people have? Right? And if you don't think you have any kind of possibilities, what kind of power are you going to gain? Right. Not much. Right? You remember how I found out about Amos Wilson? How? So it was at LSU, and I was dealing with this sister. She had a 4-year-old son. Right? So I went to the library and I put in developmental psychology of the black child, because I said we gotta raise our children differently from what other people are talking about, right? And so the book comes, I see it, I go and get it from the library, I start to read it. It's called Developmental Psychology of the Black Child by this guy. Right? And I go to the office. What was go to your office and I'm looking at your books and you have the falsification of African consciousness. I said, brother, let me borrow this book, right? And you never got that book back. Because I walked all in that book, man, and I just bought you another one and gave it to you, right? But that's how I even got to know who Amos Wilson was, right? The second reason we need African-centered education is because the current model is outdated. Can you see this picture?
Yeah.
Can you see this picture? What is this picture saying to you? What ideas do you get from this picture? Yes, sir.
School shape you into a form that they want you to be in.
Schools shape you into a form that they want you to be in. Beautiful. Thank you so much, brother.
Wow.
You got an access up there. There's no uniqueness here. No creativity here. You're going to be what we tell you to be. Right? You're going to get this cookie cutter curriculum. One size fits all. Right? See, but this system here, it's all about grades over growth. Right? It's about memorization over mastery. It's about conformity over creativity. Right? So at the bottom, we don't do grades. What good is a grade? What good is a grade? What does a grade really mean? Does it mean that you really understand the information? How many of you have ever gotten all A's in a semester? Raise your hand. Most people here have gotten all A's. I didn't get all A's until I was in grad school. You know what I'm saying? I had like 2-3 classes. That's when I got all A's. But were you equally smart in every class, or did you learn how to play the game of school?
Wow.
Right? You learn the game of pleasing the professor. Giving her exactly what she wants. Giving they exactly what they want. Is that?
Yeah.
They got pronouns here now.
Right.
Gotta put that in there. Got all gender bathrooms.
Right.
You know? All A's,
Ask
man.
about that question. You asked,
Yeah.
you asked about the question about the exam.
So these places are also what? Very test focused. Right? Over testing our children. Over testing you even. Right? But a test does not really measure your intellectual capabilities, your possibilities, or your intellect, or your unique talents, does it? It's a test. How many of you right now can pass a test you took just last semester? Ooh. 1, 2, got a couple hands. Wait. But all y'all say you got all A's though, right? At some point in your life. But you can't pass a test you just took last semester? What did you do? You learned it, you poured it onto a test, and you what? You forgot it. You know companies understand that also, right? So they don't really care what you did in school. They might look at your CV or your resume, your transcript and all that kind of stuff. A lot of companies will say, you got all A's, we don't want you. Because you play by the rules all the time. You do exactly what you were told. We need some creative people who are going to change the world. They'd probably rather a C student. You know? I would rather a C student in this class. Would you rather, Dr. Moore, a student who had an A in this class and never want to hear anything about the Black Power movement anymore?
Wow.
Or a student who got a C, but who comes to you after class and say, Dr. Moore, what kind of books can I read to get more understanding of what we're talking about? Right? Also, this thing is time-based versus mastery. There was a study that was done that showed that students who were able to self-pace when they were learning something retained a lot more information than the students who were told, listen, if you don't get it by this day, we're moving on. Right? And how many of our students are killed by the time system alone in the public school system? Right? You go to an English class, and they're speaking standard American English, right? But at home, what you speaking? Ebonics, African American vernacular, right? But then they give both the students, 45 minutes, 55 minutes in that class. Who's going to be behind in that class? Right? The time system alone kills African children in many ways. You also have the PISA test. This thing is not working.
What is that?
This is the program for international assessment.
Okay.
The U.S. is not even in the top 10 in the world. So this thing is not working for us. And they're actually going down. Singapore is up there and all Japan and all those people are up there as well. Right? The African-centered education is more practical. It's more engaging. Right? Because an African-centered education understands that the root of the word education comes from the Latin educere, right? What does educere mean? Educere means to pull forth from what is within. Not to pour in. Not to pour in. Education is not about pouring in anything, right? You're trying to pull forth what the child has within them, right? So an African-centered education is going to move from what is required of that student to what is desired by that student. And you can teach everything through anything a person is interested in.
Right.
What's something you're interested in? Yes.
I like to read.
You like to read? About what?
Oh, my favorite genre is memoirs.
Memoirs? Okay, cool. So if you love to read, I mean, you can teach the history of reading. You can teach the history of the written word even. Right? I mean, you can teach the science of how to produce these books. You can teach so many different things just by what a child is interested in. Right? In African culture, we say that you don't cut the child to fit the cloth. You cut the cloth to fit the child. It's like, I think I got this. I think I got that guy right there. You don't cut the child to fit the cloth. You cut the cloth to fit the child. You tailor the experience, the education, the curriculum to the child that you're dealing with. Instead of cutting them up. So you gotta take this class, so we're gonna cut you. So you don't understand the cool, you still gonna get in there. We still gonna have that axe. We're gonna shape you into what we want you to be. Right? Instead of clothing them in the rich African wear that they should have. Right? And another African proverb says that if you want to know how fast a child can go, send them where they want to go.
Wow. Yeah.
If you want to know how fast a child can go, send them where they want to go. We had a young brother who came to our school. He came from a school they call Little Angola. Angola is a penitentiary in Louisiana. He came from the school and he hated reading. He was in 11th grade though. He hated reading. He had all A's. He didn't like education, right? So I said, "Man, what are you interested in?" He said, "I want to make video games." Right? I said, "Okay, cool. Don't like reading though." So I said, "Well, we're gonna help you make a video game. We're gonna help you learn how to create video games." You know, that brother started reading everything. He started reading anthropology. He read like several different books on how to code and all these different kind of things. I said, "Well, this brother loves to read. He just don't love to read the stuff that they're reading in the schools."
That's right.
Send them where they want to go, and you'll see how fast they can go. Right? Kamala, we don't do grades. Right? We won't even do like grade levels. Who says every grade you should have 12 grades, right? You should have 12 of them, and all of them should be 1 year each. Who said that? Does that work? Who said that because you were manufactured on this day, you should be in a class with other people who were manufactured on that day? Is that real life? Once you get out of here, you're never going to be around people who are all right there on your same age. It's not going to happen. You're going to have people who are older than you. You're going to have people who are younger than you, who have different experiences than you do, but you'll still be able to learn. Right? In African-centered education, we're going to master concepts. We're going to master concepts. We're going to give you that time to master those concepts too, because you're not on somebody else's schedule. Right? We want our children to speak well. We want them to write well. We want them to manipulate numbers well. And we want them to love themselves. Once you have those things, you can go anywhere and do anything you want to do. Right? The beauty, number 3. The beauty of African-centered education is the beauty of the African teacher. Right? Think of your favorite teacher. That person just popped into your mind, yes? Your favorite teacher. Why were they your favorite teacher?
Good at teaching.
They were good at teaching.
They made me like the subject.
They made you like the subject.
She gave us the freedom to sort of explore different topics.
Freedom to explore. Gave you some choice. Yes? What's another reason? Yes?
She made me feel like she cared about me as a person, not just a student.
Cared about you as a person, not just as a student. What you say, sister?
Same thing.
Same thing. They cared about you as a person, right? Think about your worst teacher. Yeah. Think about your worst teacher. Okay? And they probably had those opposite elements to them, right? So the relationship comes first. our relationship came first. I mean, I sat in the class, not this big at LSU, but I sat in the class and I watched this dude and I said, I want to be like him. I want to do what this dude does. This dude just, stands on stage, asks us provocative questions, gets us talking, teaches us more about ourselves. I want to do this with my students as well. And I thank you for allowing me to do that. All right? And at African Center School, we call our parents mamas and babas. They become family. They have similar values to the family that we have at home. Right? They love us like they love their own children. Okay? Even when I go and teach at universities, I still have my students call me Baba. I'm like, man, I'm not gonna call you daddy. You ain't my daddy. Like, listen, I'm not your daddy, I'm not your mom, but I'm a father in the community. It's a term of respect, right? And how many of you feel like the teachers that were in your school were like mamas and babas to you? Couple, right? And that's what it should be. That's what it should be. All right? But who's raising our children at the moment in the schools? We don't even know these people.
True. Right.
So as a parent, you remember this, right? You got up in the morning. You may or may not have had breakfast at home. You went to school for 7, 8 hours, depending on if you were in any kind of extracurricular activities. You got home late sometimes. You had dinner, and then you went to your room. You probably ate dinner in your room. Who was raising you? Right? The school was raising you. And your parents don't even know this. All right? An African-centered teacher, though, an African-centered teacher would ask you not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you.
Can you explain that?
They would be able to, I think I got this from an Oprah Winfrey book or something like that. But a child's behavior, a person's behavior, is just a symptom of something deeper. Yes?
True.
So if you don't like school, what happened to you? If you're acting out in this way, what happened to you? If you're disrespectful, what happened to you? I can try to find out what's going on. I can connect. Because I'm like your mama. I'm like your what? Your baba. I'm going to connect with you. You're not going to get that too much in other schools. I mean, I'm sure Dr. Moore will ask you about what's going on with you. Right? And when you have a smaller environment, you can see like, okay, this person is acting a little bit differently than they used to. Okay? Maybe you just need a hug.
Yeah.
Maybe you just need somebody to talk to. And you were definitely that kind of person for me. I mean, what happened to me in schools? I remember a moment, 7th, 8th grade, I wanted to be a famous trumpeter, like Louis Armstrong, right? So I was in the band class, right? And there was a white teacher. I was practicing, I wasn't doing very well, right? So the teacher was like, I think you need to give up the trumpet. Maybe your lips are too big.
Wow.
Dang.
Wow.
Damn son. And I never picked up the trumpet again.
Wow.
You know? I played guitar on LSU's campus with my shoes off in the choir. Alright? But they also know that every child has a purpose. They also know that every child has a purpose. They try to help you recognize it and achieve it. You have a purpose here. It's not just to get your degree. Why are you here on this earth? That's rhetorical? We'll go rhetorical. Number 4, the schools
Yes.
are toxic environments.
But some of them, go ahead, I'll ask
Go
the question.
ahead.
Some of the students in here went to schools that look like college campuses.
Yeah,
So when you say toxic, they can't even,
understand
they
that.
don't even understand what that means.
Was it toxic for everybody? Probably not. Was it toxic for some people? I'm sure. Probably the basketball players probably the football players that played at those campuses. Right? Because I'm sure you didn't have that many black people there. The majority schools are more segregated now in 2024 than they were in 1954.
Wow.
You learned about 1954 already?
Yeah.
Brown v. Board of Education. Schools are more segregated now than then. Right? But we live in a different environment. Right? So these schools, the exact motivation. Classrooms are some of the worst places to learn anything. Right? But the reason why you're probably engaged and why I was so engaged in Dr. Moore's class is because he engaged you. Right? It wasn't just about the subject matter. Even the subject matter was a lot more exciting when he spoke. Right?
Uh-oh.
Y'all had the public resource officers in your schools? Right? Did y'all like those folks? Right, so you got the police and the metal detectors at some schools. Some schools don't have it.
Right, some don't. Right.
I'm in Humble right now, and I go to a school sometimes they don't have it.
No police, no
We don't see it. We don't have it. But the students ain't learning nothing. They got all the resources, bro. So I went to the class.
Tell them what school it is.
Huh?
Tell them what school it is.
Atascocita High School.
All they doing is playing football up there.
And basketball.
Right, but go ahead. Go ahead,
So I go into the classroom, and they got the resources though, right? They got the resources. There's a brother up there, there's a guy up there, and he's doing sign language in the class. Right? I mean, he's going hard too, you know? I mean, he's doing his thing, right? While the teacher is teaching. But I have no idea who he's talking to. I don't know who's deaf, because nobody ever looked up at him.
Wow.
It wasn't until the end of class we had to knock on the guy's desk and say, you know, whatever, you know, and then. So we got the resources, but still no learning is going on. Everybody has their headphones on. Everybody has their phone out. Right? How much learning are we doing with that? You know? The dress, the low expectations. There was a study that was done. They took some teachers. They said, okay, we're going to give you the gifted students. We're just going to give you the regular students. Okay? At the end of the semester, who do you think got better grades? Okay, you? The gifted students, right? But here's the thing. The students were randomly chosen.
Wow.
They were randomly chosen. They just told the teacher, you got the gifted ones, you got the regular ones. So what was that play was, low expectations for the regular students, high expectations for the gifted students. You taught them a different way, right? And that's been, double-blind studies have been done on that as well. Okay? Also, forced assimilation, right? You have the speech, the dress, the aesthetics, as my daughter likes to call it.
Where's that guy, Tice, you talking about last night, the guy who they won't let him graduate or something because he won't cut his hair?
There he goes, right there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right.
Texas superintendent defends suspension of black students over locks. Now, if you gotta have a law,
Wow.
if you gotta have a law, it's called the Crown Act. If you gotta have a law on the books for you to wear your natural hair, what does that say about the people who are teaching you?
Wow.
What does that say about the people who are over your education? You care more about his dreads, his braids, than his grades. You heard that before?
No.
Yeah, Ryan, that's always something you say. His grades more than his grades. Okay. Definitely sounds like him, right? Yeah, this is crazy though. But the guy took out a full-page ad.
But why would parents in that district, even white parents, go along with that?
Ain't my child.
Yeah.
Simple, huh?
Yeah.
We only care, you know, there are parents that are only going to talk about drunk driving when their child gets. You know, so if it ain't getting close to home, we don't care as much, you know, about it, right? So you saw the guy, he took the superintendent of the school system.
What did he do?
He took out a full-page ad defending the fact that they were not letting this guy come to school because the locks were too long. Wow. The locks are too long. You can't have them that long. And he has to understand that here in America, to be an American comes with conformity. Right? That's what he said. Go read it. It's craziness. Now, also, they said that, the brother said, they got me in ISS. Y'all know what ISS is, right? ISS is like jail, bro. I was in ISS too. The kids have to sit there and do nothing. Like, yeah, one teacher to come in, hey, Kenny, you want to take this? That's it. They just did the whole day. So at this school, this brother said they would have him in ISS all day, and they would only give him a bologna sandwich for lunch.
Come on, man.
That's what they said. It said, and he had to sit on a stool.
Stop.
So then a spokesperson from the school system sent in another message and said, hey, we have now changed the stool to a chair, and his parents could have bought him food to eat, but they never did. And the parents are still trying to get their child in that school. Why would I let listen, Malcolm said, only a fool will let his enemy keep his children. You're a fool if you send your children back to that school system.
That's crazy.
They're already telling you we don't want you. But, just like you talk about, you got the civil rights movement already? So we get the civil rights movement, you know? I mean, why would I want to go to a restaurant that's owned by somebody else when they don't want me there? You know, it's deeper. It's about social justice and all that kind of stuff. But they already got black restaurants. They could better go there anyway. I'm sorry.
Hey, who cooks in the sorority houses here? Because I know at LSU, it was all black women cooking. Y'all what? Okay, chef's a white. Okay, all right.
Chef is white.
Chef or cook? She said chef.
Chef.
They do like Sue meals and stuff like that up in there, huh? All right, I'm sorry, go ahead, man.
Only a fool would do that, right? Because we understand that African wisdom teaches us a plant, no matter how healthy, can survive in contaminated soil. A plant, no matter how healthy, can survive in contaminated soil. Some of you would say, I came from that soil. I'm okay. But how many of you wish you would have, took a class like Dr. Moore's class before you got here? Right? How many of you wish you understood a little bit more things about yourself before you got into these kind of classes, right? Right? Last thing. This African-centered education, and African-centered schools will be about an education for mental, spiritual, and physical liberation. They will have pride in themselves. That's big. Self-pride is huge. They'll be self-determining. They won't have the shackles of the colonial ideas on their mind. Hopefully they won't have the beauty standard. Right? We'll teach them to be builders and not workers. We don't want you to go to school to get a job for somebody else. Whatever you love, you do it for African people. You want to be a doctor, you do it for African people. You want to write memoirs, you write them for African people. Because everybody else has that stuff already. They don't need more doctors, we need you. They don't need more dentists, we need you. They don't need more writers, we need you. Yes or no? There will be race men and women. When they think about where they want to spend their dollars, they're going to think about their race first. Is that okay? Is that reverse racism? If black people say we only want to spend dollars with other black people, is that reverse racism? Yes? Kind of? Not really? You don't care? They won't ask that question. When they say they want to date somebody, they're going to say, what are their races talking about, first and foremost? Right? They're going to be race first in everything that they do. They're going to fight social injustice as well. But there are reasons why some Africans, when I say Africans, I'm talking about all black people. Some of you are African Americans. How many of you will call yourself African American? Raise your hand. Where's your African part? Let me see the African part. Where is it? You see the American part? Where's the African part? You say my skin. Okay. Go with that. Alright? But some people will not deal with this because they have compromised self-esteem. They're going through the same system you've gone through. Right? How many of your parents will send you to an African-centered school? What if you went home, right now and like, Mom or Dad, would you ever consider sending me to an African-centered school when I was in high school? We think they would say, hell to the no. Not happening, right? Because we are culturally disoriented.
But Samori, let me say this, man.
Yes, sir.
When you get labeled a stereotype, right? So inferior, we were labeled inferior. Right? So
we internalize that.
We internalize it. So they label us inferior to justify the treatment.
Right.
But here's part B. To get the label of inferior off of us, we have to go back to the person who called us inferior.
That's deep.
Either get the right kind of education, live in the right neighborhood, get the right kind of car. So it's all set up, man, where, that thing of, and they know we're not inferior because I think they said in the movie Origin, if I was inferior, you wouldn't let me raise your kids and breastfeed your babies. Or cook your food, So this thing of the stereotype, I look at how they stereotype their label some of the immigrants now, right? And ironically, the people doing the stereotyping, a large percentage of Latinos in Texas will vote for the people who call them criminals.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's silliness, huh? What's up with that Latino piece and the animosity between the Latinos and the blacks in this?
There's never been a black-brown coalition. We have always tried to make it out to be one just because that's who we are.
Right.
But even A lot of my students will tell me there's a lot of anti-blackness in those communities.
Culturally majority, and many of those Latino folks are probably Afro-Latinos.
Interesting.
Right? And just, the slave ship dropped them off over there, intermingled, raped, pillaged, and all that kind of stuff with their parents, and now you have it. But let's keep it moving. Alright? And the fear of disapproval. Right? Like you just said.
Yeah.
Right? Fear of, disapproval from other people. We look for validation from the very same people who would never validate us.
But it's funny, in my law school class Monday morning, 29 students, about 23rd year, they're about to graduate, they got jobs. I said, how many of you all suffer from imposter syndrome? 28 of them raised their hand.
Yes, sir.
So this whole thing of approval, even white males from wealthy parts of Houston and Dallas got jobs at law firms. Why do they have imposter syndrome?
Why is that? You asking me?
Because the approval piece runs deep, man.
Yeah, absolutely. The approval piece is a validation that we need. We come to Texas to get the validation that we need.
Ooh.
I stand up a little bit taller because I got a PhD from the University of Texas, and I'm on this black stuff, right? But whenever I want to, like stun a little bit, like, yeah, I got a PhD from the University of Texas. And people look at you differently too, though, right? People look at you differently. It's crazy. The reason why many of our people won't homeschool their own children, won't start African Center schools or send their children to African Center schools, because we want the stamp of approval from white folks at the end of the day. I want them to say that my black child is good enough, and they never will. Nobody's going to ordain you. You are already ordained. You are a god, you're a goddess. Remember that. The African Center School will teach our children just that. I'll leave you with this. When an orange tree in the backyard, when your orange tree in the backyard begins to produce bitter grapes, do you hear me? When an orange tree in the backyard begins to produce bitter grapes, it is not enough to pick all the grapes off that tree and hope for oranges next year. You gotta cut that tree down and start anew. As African people, we gotta cut ourselves away from the public school system and build our own institutions for ourselves and for our children, so we may be great now and into the future. I thank y'all so much.
All right, give me a hand, y'all. So when he was talking, I could tell some of y'all your body language. You stand up to your body language, like, what is this about? But what's going on in Dallas now with those school boards? We don't want no black history. They fired the one black principal because he was married to a white woman. Don't want no black history. We don't want no critical race theory. We don't want you bringing nuts about race. How you gonna take a book about Rosa Parks out of the library?
Rosa Parks? That's a banned book now?
Yes. And so this issue of education is serious. What happened after Brown vs. Board of Education was established in the South, right? Integrated schools. You don't have private schools in the South before 1954 because there was no need. Because the schools all white and all black. So you get all these academies that pop up in the South after integration. So when he's talking about African-centered schooling, it is not a novel concept. It's only a problem, would you agree, when black folk talk about it?
Absolutely.
My Jewish friends in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, went to Hebrew school Monday through Friday, most of them, and at the very least, they were at their synagogue Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And they've never been criticized for teaching those kids about Jewish life, history, and culture. My school, which was majority black, Jewish origins, no trip to Africa, no class on slavery, had a 2-semester class on the Holocaust, and the only study abroad program at the school was a Holocaust trip. And so when other ethnicities do it, it's never a problem. Why is it a problem when black folk do it? Question. What's the problem? Everybody else does it. Yes, go ahead.
I think that they fear that once younger generations get the knowledge and start accepting the things that happen to us, and then start trying to change things and integrate things, that you talk a lot about them being out of jobs. They'll be out of jobs or they'll be put out of positions or things will change that will negatively affect the white community and put other races and communities on top, and that's their fear.
Yeah, I mean, other groups prioritize raising their children. I mean, you ever go to an elementary school and see them parents raise hell? I don't want my teacher in that class. Okay, they move the next day. When black folks try to get it, oh no, we can't move it, it's past the deadline. But I don't have a problem with other folks advocating for their kids.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I wonder if the brother with the locks, if he was a star football player, would he be suspended?
Nope.
Why not?
It's entertainment. It is, you know, we take pride in football, definitely here in Texas, right? And so, no, they would definitely not do that. He's a good Negro. Let him do what he wants to do. He's running the football on Fridays, just like they would do here at the University of Texas as well on Saturdays.
What questions y'all got? You know, I like to expose y'all to people, and I like to expose y'all with different viewpoints. Again, I'm on my soapbox. You can't learn if you listen to the same stuff all the time. I love listening to right-wing radio. I was walking down the street, driving down the street the other day, Christian radio, and I'm a Christian. Listen to what this fool was talking about. And this dude, Barack Obama, comes out of his mouth every third sentence. He was blaming Barack Obama for everything. Oh, we didn't have this divisiveness until Barack Hussein Obama was elected. But I listened to it because of what? Huh? See another viewpoint. And I don't know what the hell is going on in Dallas. Every other station is right-wing radio. But then I remember when they talked about the assassination of Kennedy, how Dallas was one of the most racist cities on the planet. All right? But everybody go to church, though. All right? Tell us about your experience coaching the Ghana basketball team.
It was a great experience.
Come on, Tell them about the team you coach and all that.
It was a great experience. I went there just moving to Ghana. I moved to Ghana in 2015. Here's the reason why I moved. Can I tell them why?
Can you go down there and talk to?
So the reason why I moved to Ghana in the first place, right? I was teaching at Dillard University, and I would come to this class every day like this, except I would have some all-stars on, right? Some Chuck Taylor. So dashiki jeans, all-stars. That's what I would wear. So students would say, since you like black people so much, since you like Africa so much, why don't you move there? I was like, you're right. And I bought my ticket. I bought my ticket to Ghana 8 months out, and I said, I'm out of here. So I moved. I quit my job at the university. I moved to Ghana, and when I got there, I saw that we needed Africans in the school, even on the continent, because you don't get it there. So we started a school called Bibi Fahodiye Adistuya Bia, which means African Liberation School. And while I'm doing that, I would go to the court and play basketball at the university. And I see that the team wasn't very good. The coaching wasn't, up to par. I coached when I was in New Orleans and whatnot. So I said, you know what? Let me go and try to see if I can help the team out. So I saw the brother. I said, excuse me, brother. I see that you are the head coach. Can I come and help out the team? Right? I'm from the United States of America. I know a little bit about basketball. Right? I know I don't look like I can play, but I can play. All right. So he invites me out. I come there on Tuesday, and he says, here you go. And that was a wrap.
Which way did you go?
He's like, here you go. Like, I took over everything from that point on. And
The whole team?
We didn't lose a game for 4 years.
Wow.
Went to South Africa, didn't lose. Went to Ethiopia for the all Africa Ethiopia games. We didn't lose. And of course, we won all the championships in the country at that time. So I'm a pretty good coach, man.
That's some skills, huh?
Yeah, man. So I'll be going back to Ghana soon, probably at the end of this year. We're going to try to get a team to the Basketball Africa League. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It's the NBA. They're sponsoring a league in Africa now. So we're trying to get a Ghanaian team in that league.
All right. Well, folks, I want to thank y'all. Oh, wait, question? Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I wanted to ask Dr. Moore, you said that you're very much in favor of the public school system and that you support public schools.
Yeah.
And Dr. Camara, you said that you want this more African-focused schooling. So
Yes.
I want to know, how can you two reconcile those two points?
Why do you like the school system, bro?
For me, I know what will happen to black children if the public schools get shut down. All right. To me, it's easier to try to reform reform it. And it'll be best to try to reform it. Because I know black folks after the Civil War fought hard to get those public schools established. So that's how I rationalize it.
Wait though.
Uh-oh.
After the Civil War, African people started their own schools. You know we used to do this stuff? You know we used to do this at LSU? We used to have these debates anyway. But African people, read a book called Black Education in the South by James Anderson. James Anderson, beautiful, right? So he talks about how African people had already started their own schools. Even when the Freedmen's Bureau came down and all that kind of stuff, you know, they had to take over those black schools. Because the black people were already educating their own children. They understood the value of education, right? Reform is not going to work.
We don't have an infrastructure set up for every black kid to leave Houston ISD or Dallas ISD to go into an African-centered school.
So, brother, I'm saying that our schools can be those maroon communities. Those enslaved Africans who ran away into the bush first. Wait. Maroon communities, right? And so we go off into the bush, right? We have our own African-centered enclaves, our own schools, and we steal a couple teachers from there. Still a couple students that are ready to leave that system, right? Until we get enough people to do it. Now we have to get started though. We have some 400 African-centered schools across the country right now, right? We need more. We need more people to value it so that we can have that infrastructure. It would never be there if we continue to give 95% of our effort to the school system as it is right now. We can't give 95% of our stuff, our money, our resources, and our effort to something else and expect ours to grow for 5% of the time.
So we got to build infrastructure, I guess. I mean, it's the same HBCU argument. If every black student wanted to go to an HBCU, we don't have the capacity for them.
But it will grow if they did.
Yeah, the average size of an HBCU is like 2,000 students. You know, he said, well, Dr. Moore, you like going to black stuff, go to an HBCU. Well, 2,500 black students in UT, they need to see somebody that looks like them.
That's real.
And somebody that wants to connect with them, not some of my elitist colleagues.
So I would say this: we always need some black people that's still on the plantation. I'm sorry, the 40.
He said I'm still on the plantation.
No. We all need some people who are still within the system, so that they can be what you were for me.
Gotcha.
So that's one of the reasons why I go back. I go to Atascocita, I go to a couple other schools to sub, right, on Fridays, just so that these black students can see, you know, a black man and get some.
Does the administration know your background and all of that?
I doubt it.
Okay.
I doubt it. Okay, I doubt that.
All right. Question? Yes, go ahead.
Does Samori Academy have a core curriculum, or are classes individualized for specific students?
We have a core curriculum, right? There's some things that we believe all African children should know, right? Of course, it's going to be math, it's going to be language arts, it's going to be our story, and it's going to be different kind of sciences. But when we do our math and language arts, we do it on their own level, right? Because we understand that students come to us sometimes 2 or 3 grades below where they quote unquote should be, right? And many people have holes in their foundation when it comes to their language arts skills as well as their math skills. So we do that on their own level. Everything else we teach them together.
Question? Yes.
In the first season,
Speak up a little bit.
in the first season, you had said like the rite of passage to teach the students to be like husband and wife. What does that look like?
What does that look like? So here at Kamala Academy, you know, we have serious conversations about these things, right? Because we know that we get a lot of our information about relationships from social media, from the television, from music. I remember I would ask students, black students all the time, how many of you want to be married? How many of you want to be married, right? So when you go to a black school, a lot of the children won't raise their hand. Right? I say, young brother, why don't you want to be married? And you immediately, jump into a song. She ain't gonna tie me down. Start rapping the whole song. So he had an idea about what marriage was. So it's really conversations and it's classes where we talk about just those things, about how to be a man, how to be a woman, how to choose a mate, what to look for, and what are the red flags, what are the green flags, and all those kind of things as well.
Yes.
So a lot of the things that you talked about reminded me of the Montessori system of learning. What's your opinion on that system?
Maria Montessori studied African people.
Wow.
Right? She studied African people and just put her brand on it. Just like Pythagoras learned in Egypt for 30 years and then said, I got a theorem, But they built the pyramids with that theorem. So obviously they came up with it before you came around. But anyway, I like it. Follow the child. We're not going to be as liberal about it as some Europeans would be, because as African children, we know we can't just do anything at any time. But we like the philosophy as well, for sure.
There's a school downtown Austin called the Cabelli School. They charge about $30,000 a year, and I used to go down there sometimes just to hang out. They would have like kids sitting up under trees.
Right.
I'm like, what class are you in? He like, they don't have a name. You know, they can just draw, paint.
That's a beautiful thing.
But there was a bunch of elite kids that wealthy parents. They paid 30 grand, and the kids said they liked it because they could explore and they could kind of, you know, pursue their intellectual pursuits and stuff like that.
Absolutely. No, that's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, I learned so much more after I left college. Why? Because I can just study and do what I wanted to do, right? They probably called their teachers by their first name and everything in the school. You know, it's about not being a sage on stage. We're not a sage on stage at Kamali Academy, right? We are a guide on their side. What do you love? What do you want to learn? Let me help you. I'm a coach. So even though I might not know this particular science, I'm going to find a person who does know it, and he's going to help you out, or she's going to help you out. You know what I'm saying?
You said something about a curriculum that reflects the needs of the people. This curriculum doesn't reflect their needs. No, not that, from UT.
Okay. I don't know.
What percentage, and I'm only using this because you see this more connected to women than men. If there was a class offered on body image, how do people take that class? Body image.
Body image.
Self-esteem, all that kind of stuff.
That's soft though. You don't want to take those. Your parents probably wouldn't pay for you to take a class like that.
But that's the kind of stuff. How do y'all realize that we walk around with, we bring stuff from childhood into adulthood?
Absolutely.
Your sister may look better than you, and you know that they called you an ugly one. Or one of my students, she said her mom was so dark skinned, her nickname was Roach.
No. It's tough.
And so I think what we do real quick is, you know, we got all this pain from childhood, right? That a lot of the men y'all deal with ain't never been affirmed, got daddy issues. Big time. So their masculinity is messed up because dad has never hugged them and affirmed them and said, I'm proud of you. All right, will somebody say amen? Go ahead, yes. Sorry.
So about the body issues with women, people also kind of don't talk about the body issues with men. There is
Explain, say more.
So there is an idolizing like person, Sam Sulek.
Who?
Sam Sulek.
Sam Sulek. You heard of him? Okay, who? Okay, Sam Sulek. Go ahead.
It's very popular. So you can find men's body dysmorphia within the gym community.
Right. Okay.
So Sam Sulek is someone who is known to take massive amounts of steroids,
Mm.
and a bunch of young adolescent boys are seeking steroid usage
Wow.
because they want to look like that person they idolize.
Golly. Okay.
And like a lot of people who go to the gym and like actually dedicate themselves to looking better still have body dysmorphia. They still think they're not good enough, even though they're constantly
Yeah.
bettering themselves.
So it's something internal.
Yes.
Yeah, something, and that's why I think we got to start educating the whole body. What we do now, we just educate. I don't know what we're doing. We're educating to get a job. Let me tell you how crazy this stuff is. In my law school class, all 29 of those students will get jobs. All of them. I think UT may be the 15th great law school in the country. All of them. But they're in this system where they have been trained to just constantly be in competition with the person sitting next to them. It's unhealthy. And it's like this, like you said, it's about this whole thing of approval.